Hello, and welcome, dear listeners, to another enchanting episode of Story Time for Me. Today, we are about to embark on a magical journey through one of the most beloved fairy tales of all time, the story of Cinderella. A tale of hope, courage, and the transformative power of kindness, Cinderella's story has captivated hearts and ignited imaginations for generations. So, get comfortable, let your imagination take flight, and let us dive into a world where magic exists and dreams really do come true. Are you ready to begin? Let's turn the page and enter the world of Cinderella. Once upon a time, in a quaint village nestled amidst rolling hills and blooming meadows, lived a young girl named Cinderella. With hair as golden as the sun's rays and eyes mirroring the azure sky, her beauty was matched only by her kind and gentle spirit. Cinderella spent her early years basking in the love and care of her doting parents. Their cottage, a picture of warmth and happiness, was often filled with laughter and the sweet smell of her mother's baking. Surrounded by the lush greenery of their garden, Cinderella learned the joys of nature and the value of hard work. As she played and helped her parents tend to their home. However, this idyllic life was not to last. As Cinderella blossomed into a young lady, tragedy struck. Her beloved mother fell ill, and despite all efforts, she passed away, leaving a void in their family. Cinderella's mother had been her guiding star, teaching her about kindness, strength, and love. Her passing left Cinderella and her father enveloped in a cloak of sorrow. The loss was profound, and the once cheerful home was now often shrouded in silence, with Cinderella doing her best to fill the days with some semblance of the joy her mother had left behind. In his grief, Cinderella's father, yearning for companionship and a return to normalcy, remarried after a few years. His new wife was a widow with 2 daughters, both close in age to Cinderella. At first, Cinderella was hopeful, longing for the warmth of a family once more. However, it soon became clear that this new stepmother and her daughters harbored no affection for her. Cinderella's stepmother was a cold and harsh woman, consumed with pride and vanity. Her stepsisters were equally unkind, mirroring their mother's disdainful and arrogant attitudes. As time passed, the once joyful and loving atmosphere of Cinderella's home faded, replaced by a regime of indifference and cruelty, leaving Cinderella yearning for the happiness she once knew. The arrival of the stepmother and her daughters marked a drastic change in Cinderella's life. The stepmother, a woman with sharp features and an even sharper tongue, took control of the household. She viewed Cinderella not as a stepdaughter to be cherished, but as a servant to be used. Cinderella's days were filled with endless chores, scrubbing floors, washing dishes, and tending to every whim of her stepfamily. Her once beautiful dresses were replaced with tattered gowns, and her delicate hands became rough from constant toil. Despite the hardship, Cinderella maintained her kindness and grace, finding solace in the company of the animals, in the garden, and the memories of her mother's love and teachings. The stepmother, obsessed with wealth and status, lavished her own daughters with fine clothes and privileges, grooming them for advantageous marriages. These stepsisters, Anastasia and Drizella, were as unpleasant in nature as they were in appearance. They mocked Cinderella's humble attire and gentle manner, taking delight in adding to her list of chores and sabotaging her few moments of rest. The father, once a source of love and security for Cinderella, became increasingly distant, lost in his own disappointment and the stepmother's manipulative grasp. He failed to see the growing despair in Cinderella's eyes, blinded by his own quest for lost happiness. Cinderella's life had become a cycle of endless labor and loneliness. Her once bright spirit was dimmed by the cruelty she faced daily. Yet, in her heart, the flame of hope flickered faintly, nurtured by dreams of a life filled with love and joy. At night, when the chores were done, Cinderella would sit by the dying embers of the hearth, her only companions, the mice and birds who had become her friends. In these quiet moments, she allowed herself to dream of a different life where kindness prevailed and she was free from the clutches of her stepfamily's malice. Little did Cinderella know that soon her life would take a magical turn, leading her to a destiny beyond her wildest dreams. In the kingdom where Cinderella lived, excitement buzzed through the air like a melodious song. The king, seeking to find a suitable bride for his son, the charming and kind-hearted prince, announced a grand ball. It was to be held at the royal palace, a magnificent structure that gleamed under the sun and sparkled under the moon. This ball was no ordinary event. It was a spectacle of grandeur open to all eligible maidens in the kingdom. News of the royal ball spread rapidly, igniting dreams and aspirations among the people, for it was said that the prince would choose his bride from among the attendees. In Cinderella's household, the announcement of the royal ball caused an uproar of excitement, especially among her stepsisters. The stepmother, seeing an opportunity for her daughters to captivate the prince, immediately began preparations. Lavish gowns were ordered, and seamstresses were summoned to ensure that Anastasia and Drizella would look their finest. The stepmother's ambition blinded her to all else, her mind consumed with visions of grandeur and royal connections. Cinderella watched from the shadows, her heart aching with a mix of longing and resignation. The thought of attending the ball and escaping, even for a night, from her dreary life filled her with a yearning she dared not express. As the day of the ball approached, the stepfamily's frenzy reached its peak. Cinderella, burdened with additional tasks to prepare her stepsisters, found herself dreaming more fervently of the ball. In a moment of courage, she asked her stepmother if she too could attend. The request was met with harsh laughter and scorn. Her stepmother cruelly declared that Cinderella could go if she completed all her work and found a suitable dress. Knowing the impossibility of these conditions, Cinderella's hope wavered, but deep down, a small flame of determination ignited. She decided to try and make the best of her old dress, holding on to the slim chance of experiencing a night of magic and freedom away from her life of servitude. On the evening of the ball, as the household bustled with the final preparations, Cinderella's hopes crumbled. Despite her efforts, she had no dress to wear, and her endless chores left her no time to make one. Dejected, she watched her stepfamily depart in their carriage, adorned in their finery. Alone and heartbroken, Cinderella fled to the garden, her tears reflecting the fading twilight. It was then, amidst her despair, that a gentle voice called out to her. Startled, Cinderella looked up to see a kindly old woman, her eyes twinkling with warmth and wisdom. This was Cinderella's fairy godmother, a guardian sent in her hour of need, her presence a glowing beacon of hope. With a wave of her magical wand, the fairy godmother began Cinderella's transformation. From the ragged dress emerged a gown of ethereal beauty, shimmering like the starlit sky. Glass slippers, as delicate as they were strong, adorned her feet, completing the enchanting ensemble. The fairy godmother, sensing Cinderella's astonishment and delight, smiled and gestured towards the pumpkin in the garden. With another swirl of magic, the pumpkin turned into a splendid carriage, and the mice, who had been Cinderella's faithful friends, became majestic horses. Even Cinderella's loyal dog Bruno transformed, taking the role of a regal coachman. As Cinderella marveled at the magic around her, the fairy godmother offered a word of caution. The magic, she explained, would last only until midnight. After that, everything would return to its original form. Cinderella listened intently, her heart swelling with gratitude and excitement. She promised to remember the warning and thanked her fairy godmother profusely. With a final encouraging nod, the fairy godmother watched as Cinderella, radiant and full of newfound confidence, stepped into the carriage. As the carriage rolled away towards the palace, the fairy godmother vanished, her task completed, leaving behind a trail of twinkling stardust and a young girl's dreams coming to life. Cinderella arrived at the royal palace, her heart fluttering with a mixture of nervous excitement and awe. The palace, ablaze with lights, looked like a jewel against the night sky. Guests, in their finest attire, streamed into the grand hall, a spectacle of elegance and splendor. As Cinderella made her entrance, a hushed silence fell over the crowd. Her beauty, magnified by the magical gown, captivated everyone. She moved through the throng of people, her grace and poise making her seem like a vision from a fairy tale. Unrecognized by her stepfamily, who were too engrossed in their own pursuits, Cinderella felt a sense of freedom and joy she had never known before. The prince, standing amongst the nobility, was immediately struck by Cinderella's appearance. Her gentle demeanor and radiant smile set her apart from all the other maidens vying for his attention. Intrigued and enchanted, he approached her, extending an invitation to dance. As they moved to the music, the room seemed to fade away, leaving just the two of them locked in a moment of perfect harmony. The prince was captivated by Cinderella's charm and wit, finding in her a kindred spirit. The connection between them was palpable, a bond formed not just of physical attraction, but of shared values and mutual respect. As the night progressed, Cinderella and the prince shared many dances and conversations, each moment deepening their connection. The prince was enamored, his heart knowing that he had found someone special. Cinderella, too, felt an unspoken bond, a sense of belonging she had longed for all her life. However, amidst the laughter and music, the clock's hands inched closer to midnight, a reminder of the fleeting magic. Cinderella, lost in the moment, almost forgot the warning of her fairy godmother. As the first chime of midnight rang through the hall, reality crashed upon her like a wave. She tore herself away from the prince's embrace, fleeing through the crowd, her heart racing with a mix of fear and sadness. As the grand clock of the palace struck midnight, its chimes echoed through the vast halls, marking the end of the magical night. Cinderella, her heart pounding, rushed through the opulent corridors, her mind clouded with the urgency of the fairy godmother's warning. The enchantment was fading, and she needed to escape before the spell was broken. Behind her, the prince, taken aback by her sudden departure, called out and gave chase, his intrigue and concern growing with each passing second. The palace guests, startled by the commotion, turned their attention to the unfolding drama, whispering speculations and rumors. Cinderella's graceful run was a race against time, her dress shimmering under the moonlight as she dashed towards the palace gates. With each chime of the clock, her heart sank deeper, fearing she would not make it in time. As she reached the steps outside the palace, her magical gown began to transform back into her tattered dress, the spell unraveling. In her panic and haste, Cinderella lost one of her glass slippers on the staircase, but there was no time to retrieve it. The transformation was nearly complete, and she couldn't risk being seen in her true form, not with the prince so close behind. Cinderella managed to reach the carriage just as the final chime rang out. As the spell broke, the magnificent carriage turned back into a pumpkin, and the horses reverted to mice. Cinderella, now in her ragged clothes, fled into the night, leaving behind the prince and the grandeur of the palace. The prince, arriving at the steps, found only the glass slipper, a solitary reminder of the mysterious maiden who had stolen his heart. Cinderella, though safe from discovery, felt a mixture of relief and sorrow. The magical night had ended, but it had left her with memories she would cherish forever and a glimmer of hope in her heart. The glass slipper left on the steps of the palace now stood as a symbol of that unforgettable night and the unanswered questions it left behind. In the aftermath of the ball, the prince, holding the delicate glass slipper, was determined to find the mysterious maiden who had captured his heart. He issued a decree that every unmarried woman in the kingdom should try on the slipper, hoping it would lead him to his elusive love. The kingdom was abuzz with excitement and speculation. Messengers were sent far and wide, carrying the glass slipper on a velvet cushion, a symbol of the prince's unwavering resolve. Women from all corners of the kingdom lined up for their chance, to prove they were the owner of the magical shoe, each dreaming of becoming the prince's bride. Back at Cinderella's home, the stepfamily was in a frenzy of their own. The stepmother, upon hearing the prince's decree, saw it as an opportunity to further her ambitions. She coached Anastasia and Drizella in how to deceive the prince, convinced that one of them could force their foot into the slipper. Cinderella, relegated once again to her chores, listened to their schemes with a heavy heart, her own memories of the ball, a stark contrast to her present reality. She longed to try on the slipper, but knew her stepmother would never allow it. The dream of reuniting with the prince seemed more distant than ever, trapped behind the walls of her stepfamily's vanity and deceit. The day arrived when the royal emissary, with the glass slipper in tow, visited Cinderella's household. Anastasia and Drizella took their turns, each attempting to squeeze their foot into the slipper. Despite their efforts and the stepmother's forceful interventions, the shoe refused to fit. As the emissary prepared to leave, deeming the search unsuccessful, Cinderella gathered her courage and asked if she might try the slipper. The stepmother laughed scornfully, ridiculing the idea, but the emissary, intrigued by Cinderella's gentle demeanor and noting her resemblance to the mysterious maiden, insisted that she be given a chance. The stepfamily watched in disbelief and growing horror as Cinderella sat down, the glass slipper in her hand, poised to reveal a truth that would change their lives forever. In a moment that felt suspended in time, Cinderella gently slipped her foot into the glass slipper. It fit perfectly, as if it had been made just for her. The room fell into a stunned silence, broken only by the gasp of the royal emissary, who immediately recognized the significance of this moment. Cinderella, with a quiet grace, stood up, the transformation in her demeanor unmistakable. The stepmother and stepsisters looked on in shock and disbelief, their plans crumbling before their eyes. The truth was clear. Cinderella was the mysterious maiden who had captivated the prince at the ball. The revelation of Cinderella's identity sent ripples throughout the household. Her stepfamily's astonishment quickly turned to dismay as they realized the implications of their mistreatment. Cinderella, however, bore no malice. Her time at the ball and the kindness of her fairy godmother had shown her the power of grace and forgiveness. She faced her stepfamily not with accusations, but with a quiet strength that spoke volumes. The emissary, witnessing this display of character, was deeply impressed and knew that the prince's choice was more than fitting. Word of Cinderella's true identity spread quickly, and soon the prince himself arrived at her doorstep. The moment their eyes met, it was as if no time had passed since the ball. Their connection was instant and undeniable. The prince, overjoyed to have found her, spoke of his admiration for her courage and her kindness. Cinderella, her heart full, realized that her dreams were becoming reality. Her stepfamily, now humbled and remorseful, could only watch as Cinderella stepped into a new chapter of her life, one where she was no longer defined by their treatment, but by her own virtues and newfound love. In the days following their reunion, Cinderella and the prince grew even closer, their bond strengthened by mutual respect and affection. The prince introduced Cinderella to the wonders of the palace and the responsibilities of royal life. Cinderella, with her innate kindness and wisdom, quickly won the hearts of the court and the people of the kingdom. Together, they embarked on preparations for a grand wedding, a celebration that promised to unite not only their hearts, but also the entire kingdom. The joy and excitement were palpable throughout the land as everyone looked forward to the union of the humble maiden and the noble prince. Meanwhile, Cinderella's stepfamily faced a reckoning of their own. In the light of Cinderella's newfound stature, they feared retribution for their years of mistreatment. However, Cinderella, true to her nature, showed them compassion and forgiveness. She understood that holding onto bitterness would only mar her own happiness. In time, the stepmother and stepsisters, influenced by Cinderella's magnanimity, began to reflect on their actions and sought to make amends. This change of heart marked the beginning of their redemption and healing, a testament to the transformative power of kindness and understanding. Cinderella's new life in the palace was a journey of discovery and fulfillment. As she adapted to her role as a princess, she brought her own touch of grace and compassion to her duties. She initiated projects to help the less fortunate and worked to create a kingdom where kindness and fairness reigned. The prince, admiring her strength and vision, stood by her as an equal partner. Their love and respect for each other an example to all. Cinderella's story, from a life of hardship to one of love and purpose, became a beloved tale within the kingdom, inspiring many with its message of hope, resilience, and the enduring power of kindness. The wedding of Cinderella and the prince was a celebration that transcended all expectations, marking not just the union of two souls, but also the triumph of love and kindness over adversity. The ceremony, held in the grand palace gardens under a canopy of blooming flowers, was attended by people from all corners of the kingdom. Cinderella, radiant in her bridal gown, and the prince, handsome in his royal attire, exchanged vows in a moment of pure joy and commitment. The air was filled with music, laughter, and a sense of enchantment as the couple was declared husband and wife, sealing their love with a heartfelt kiss. The story of Cinderella and the prince became a timeless tale, passed down through generations. It served as a reminder of the power of hope and perseverance. Cinderella, once a girl tormented by her circumstances, became a symbol of grace and resilience. Her journey taught that true nobility comes not from birth, but from the strength of character and the kindness of heart. The moral of her story resonated far and wide, inspiring countless hearts to believe in the possibility of a better tomorrow, regardless of their current struggles. Cinderella and the prince lived a life filled with love, understanding, and shared purpose. Their reign was marked by prosperity, peace, and fairness, reflecting the values they both held dear. They were beloved by their subjects, not just for their status, but for their genuine care and dedication to the welfare of the kingdom. And so, in a world often riddled with challenges and hardships, the story of Cinderella and her prince remained a beacon of hope, a testament to the idea that no matter how difficult the journey, a happily ever after is possible for those who hold on to hope, cherish kindness, and dare to dream. And so, dear friends, of story time for me, we come to the end of our enchanting journey through the tale of Cinderella. As we close this chapter, let us carry with us the magic and lessons it has imparted. Remember, like Cinderella, to always hold onto hope and kindness, even in the face of challenges. May her story inspire us to believe in the beauty of our dreams and to find the courage to transform them into reality. Thank you for joining us in this magical adventure. Until our next story time, keep dreaming, keep believing, and may your days be filled with your own kind of fairy tale magic. Goodbye for now, and take care.